The EFCC Act is very clear as ABC. It says a serving or retired a person who had worked in government security agency or law enforcement agency with 15 years experience. Olukoyede, we all know his what do you call it, resume is out there in the public, worked with Oshoma and co. And I would want to say, you know, maybe because of that relationship and the closeness between Oshoma and Magu, he was made chief of staff to Magu. He acted there for 2 years and subsequently was elevated to the secretary of the commission. If you look at section 8 of the act, it spells out the functions of a secretary. It's merely admin and bookkeeping. And so when you now go further, you hear that the person must have cognate experience in 15 years cognate experience. Show what is cognate. Cognate means related. 15 years. So if we're looking at related, the act already stated the requirement. And so related experience to experience of somebody that has served in security, government security, or law enforcement agency. Olukoyede has only served 4 years in EFCC. So you can't say he has 15 years related experience. People are saying he's been practicing law for 22 years. Shehu, I've been practicing law for close to 30 years. Does that now mean I have cognate experience in law enforcement agencies because I've handled a few cases, you know, that has to do with EFCC? That the answer is no. So this is a very simple test. The fact that you're so much in a hurry to put one of your boys or one of your men or just stand the law on its head, considering the fact that when you were in opposition, you consistently, you know, told Nigerians how it can be done better without breaking a sweat. And now you are there. People are going to go back to all of the statements that you made while you were in opposition, all of those press releases issued by Alhaji Lyman. And the only conclusion you can get is that this government is gradually, and not even gradually, is speedily getting it wrong. And the saddest part of it is that, you know, when a man is lost and does not know that he is lost, it's too early in the day for them to be standing law on its head or for them to be observing the law in breach. Because if you start this way, what you're indirectly telling the same EFCC is that you can, you know, violate the laws with impunity and there would be any problem. Because conclusively, some persons have argued that it doesn't matter who heads the EFCC. If we say it doesn't matter, what we're also telling the EFCC is that you can arrest people without regards to the rule of law. It doesn't matter. The police can do and undo. It doesn't matter. The government can, you know, violate the law. It doesn't matter. A society that does not anchor its practice and procedures on the rule of law, I tell you, nobody will want to do business in such society. People will not be comfortable because they know that the law is not observed in such society.
Okay, so Liborous, quickly, there are 3 criteria which you have, which the section of the EFCC Act 2004 has stipulated, and I'd like to ask you if you can just tell me yes or no to whether or not Olukoyede ticks the box, legally speaking. So the first criteria is whether he's a retired or serving officer of a security or law enforcement agency. True or false?
False.
Is he
false?
Is he in any? Has he attained the position of a rank of assistant commissioner of police or equivalent? True or false?
The answer is a no also.
Does he possess 15 years, nothing less than 15 years cognate experience?
The answer is a no, because when we use the word cognate, we tend to confuse Nigerians. Cognate means related. Is his experience, his 4 years experience in EFCC, is he related to the requirements spelled out in the EFCC Act? The answer is no. His 22 years practice, can he equate the 15 years that we're talking about, it's not related. It's a private practice. It's not even a government practice. The law strictly stipulates government security or law enforcement agency. 15 years related experience cannot equate 22 years practice at the bar cannot equate that 15 years experience in government law enforcement agency.
So your final answer is Olukoyede's appointment is illegal.
Olukoyede's appointment, looking at the three criteria that you have listed also, it's illegal and it's in non-compliance with the provisions of the EFCC Act, which is setting up the EFCC.
Which is
and you cannot appoint the chairman, first and foremost. Yes, the Establishing Act. And you can't appoint the chairman and that chairman is going to function in an establishment and his appointment violates the same law that the chairman is going to use to function.
Okay, so, and I'll go to this. This particular position is one of such positions that has to be confirmed by the Senate. Although, in the case of Magu, rejected, but yet the appointer has insisted that he must stay, albeit against the will of the confirming authority. Now, do you see the kind of Senate that we have, any opposition, based on the point of law, that they might reject Olukoyede when he appears before them?
Sheung, first and foremost, let me quickly give kudos to the senator representing me at the National Assembly, Senator Adams Oshoma. He was the only senator that I saw spoke up, despite being close to the president. People like that who are close to the president, who you feel should be sycophantic, spoke out vehemently, pointing out the errors to the president. People like that, we need more people like that in the Senate, who they will be able to point out your faults so that you'll be able to correct them. But I can tell you, to answer your question, take Senator Godswill Akpabio, the Senate president, a senator who derives pleasure in wearing a cap with the president insignia. How do you expect? It's like almost being psychopathic to the president, worshiping Mr. President. Is almost like, anything the president wants, we will do. So how do you expect such a Senate headed by such a man to scrutinize or reject, nominees from Mr. President? I think the man whose own was even, at least you would say that the Senate was firm, Oda Saraki, to have rejected, that nomination on the allegations. At the end of the day, the people that eulogize that nomination, look at how Magu eventually, ended. So in this same vein, I do not see Akpabio doing anything close to what Saraki did. At the end of the day, even if the entire Senate, you have the nays, I know, just like Ahmed Lawa, the Akpabio's eyes would have it on that day, because certainly that is what the president of the day wants. And it's obvious that the man worships, by his body language, worships the ground on which the president stands, because it's almost as if, all he wanted, his life ambition, he's been a minister, he's been a governor, now he's a Senate president. And the man that made it happen for him, anything he wants, he will do. So I don't see Akpabio rejecting the nomination, despite the fact that this is a violation of the law that the validly made.
Okay, so there are those who believe, Liborous, that Olukoyede has 22 years of lawyering, of law practice, and is a regulatory compliance consultant and specialist in fraud management and corporate intelligence with extensive experience in the operations of the EFCC. Does that suffice? And I'd like to add this to how I'd like you to respond. If Senate confirms Olukoyede, and I'm trying to play the devil's advocate here, if the Senate confirms Olukoyede, does Olukoyede's appointment fall within what in the school of the debate or over local standard in law, where Ganifa Emi had come out to say when anything that affects the Nigerian people is of public interest, when the Supreme Court of Nigeria was trying to define what is the public interest in the realm of local standard, does this fall in the realm of public interest that a lawyer like a Liborous Oshoma can go to court and say, I challenge the appointment of Olukoyede?
Let me answer the last question first. Yes, because some of us are even, preparing to go to court to seek, even though it doesn't need interpretation, it's very clear. Remember when defense chiefs were appointed without Senate confirmation, Festus Keyamo, SAN, then approached the court, and the court said, look, these service chiefs, by the provisions of the Constitution, under Goodluck Jonathan, cannot be appointed without Senate confirmation. So in the same vein, some of us are going to go to court to challenge this appointment if they go ahead to confirm it, that, we need, the essence of these laws is for us to seek interpretation, and the law is what the court says it is. So we're going to go to court as a public interest matter to take up such challenge. That's on one side. And then secondly, the next question is, 22 years experience in the practice of law.
Experience. He's a regulatory compliance consultant and specialist in fraud management and corporate intelligence with extensive experience in the operations of the EFCC. Those of you who want to challenge Olukoyede's appointment, you need to have this information so that you will know whether or not he really fits into the job.
Sheon, let me tell you, if I reel out my resume for you, you will be marveled. You will even ask me to go and head the FCC. But that does not make me qualified to head the FCC. So by this resume, what you are telling me now, that is private practice. Thank God you didn't even mention, fraud, experts in government security or government enforcement agent. That is the law. I really do not have a problem with him as a person, as a colleague. I should even be happy that my colleague is the head of EFCC. But what I am saying is that by the enabling law, this resume and these qualifications that you have read out are his qualification in his private capacity as a practicing lawyer in Yemi Oshibanjo and Co. The other resume is a resume probably from acting as chief of staff to Magu as chairman of EFCC, and then maybe as secretary. Cumulatively, all of this is 4 years, Sean, 4 years. And so you can't say that because, yes, you've worked in EFCC for 4 years, and so that should also, be taken as cognate experience, 15 years cognate experience. If we do that, Sean, it means the driver of the chairman of EFCC can head EFCC tomorrow because after all, he worked in EFCC. Just attend some private, go get some certification, and you become EFCC chairman contrary to the provisions of the law. It also means that a plumber in EFCC, after all, he's worked in EFCC, whether the experience is related or not, just use the word cognate, leave out the related. That's what we are saying here. So your experience as a private legal practitioner, fantastic as it may be, awesome, but that cannot take the place of the 15 years related experience in these 3 areas that were mentioned, either serving or retired law enforcement agent. You have worked in a law enforcement agency for 4 years, 2 years as a chief of staff, 2 years as secretary of the commission. Even as a secretary, you were dealing with the files and bookkeeping of the commission. So I think the first thing is, shown consistently, every chairman that has headed the FCC had been shown the exit door using the same method, being accused of the same thing, which is abuse of office. Yes, I think that the first thing to do would be let the government look at the enabling act of the FCC, amend the law. You amend the law, unbundle EFCC, maybe change the requirement for becoming a chairman, and then you can now bring in whoever you want. But leaving the law as it is, and then now trying to shove that appointment down our throats saying that we shouldn't talk about it. For me, that is where the challenge is. All of this resume that you have read out are in his private capacity as a private legal practitioner, not as somebody who has worked in government for a law enforcement agency for 15 years. No,